What a spectacular day it is in Tucson, Arizona. It's the Arizona Wildcats' great home park. It's Hi Corbett, all full of history. And this is Perfect Game Weekly, presented by Rawlings. Hi there, folks from Hi Corbett Field. My name is Daron Sutton. Glad to have you joining us for the only show devoted to amateur baseball and softball, PG Weekly. And I was fortunate enough this week to get out of the studios, parachute into an elite West Coast college baseball matchup, Stanford and Arizona. Two programs that met in Omaha last year. Two programs that combined have gone to the College World Series 35 times. Arizona winning it 4 times, Stanford winning it twice on this show. Great conversations with two men that will, in all likelihood, be first-round draft picks, a pair of All-Americans. Catcher from Arizona, Daniel Susak. Elite outfielder, Brock Jones from Stanford. We're also going to take you on a road trip. We'll get things cranked up to this part of the world, the West and the Southwest, and a stop in Houston, Texas along the way to find out behind the scenes what went on at the Super Regionals, the NIT put together by a Perfect Game and one very, very unique 11U squad. It's just great to be back. Baseball's back at the major league level, high school, college, and a little bit of travel ball running around the world as well. We've been talking about that for quite some time. Last week, we went to the Southeast on our road trip. Let's gas up the tank. Some of the best stories around the country. It's time to go on a road trip. Let's head west, southwest. Let's do it. Crank it up. Our first stop is just a quick drive from here to Chandler, Arizona, where Gavin Turley and his Hamilton teammates are having quite the start to the season. 10-1 and number 7 in the latest PG high school rankings. Now, Turley, listen to this, homered in 6 consecutive games to start the season and had 8 in his first 8. Scouts continue to rave about the bat speed, the athleticism, the makeup as well. He's an Oregon State commit, but I would expect him instead to be making some MLB fan base very happy very soon. Speaking of happy fan bases, let's head over to Southern California, where the Dodgers made one of the biggest signings of the post-lockout offseason by luring Freddie Freeman home. Long before becoming one of the best hitters in the game and a World Series champ, the 2006 Perfect Game All-American graduated from El Modena High School in Orange County. Welcome home, Freddie. That Dodger lineup has a chance to be historic this season. And speaking of Orange County baseball, about 3 miles north of Freeman's alma mater sits the #1 high school team in the country, Orange Lutheran. They're led by a trio of seniors, 2021 PG All-American Mikey Romero, the #6 lefty in the country, Oliver Santos, and the 8th-ranked catcher in the country, Karson Bowen, TCU commit. They also feature the #1 player in the 2024 class, Derek Curiel. He's been leading off and patrolling center field. Orange Lutheran thus far off to a 10-1 start. If you want to see them in action, tune in right here to Perfect Game TV on March 31st, 6 o'clock Pacific, as they'll be taking on fellow California powerhouse program, St. John Bosco. Again, March 31st, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific in the evening. Next stop, Nevada. 2021 Perfect Game All-American Justin Crawford. He's gotten his Bishop Gorman team off to a blistering start in the desert, up to number 8 in the most recent PG rankings. They're 13-1, and he is mashing, hitting .447, 3 homers, 2 triples, 5 doubles, all that in his first 14 games, with a ridiculous 1357 OPS. The son of 4-time MLB All-Star Carl Crawford, he's an LSU commit. Only time will tell if Coach Johnson will see him in Baton Rouge. Next week, the road trip to the Heartland. We're going to check in Oklahoma with Jackson Holliday, PG All-American. We'll go to Indy as well and check in with the #1 player in the 2023 class. Speaking of #1, a man who may be the #1 catcher taken coming up this July in the MLB amateur draft is Daniel Susak. He wears the gear here for the Arizona Wildcats. Our conversation when we come back. Glad to have you with us at historic Hi Corbett Field. Outdoors, college baseball, beautiful thing. This is Perfect Game Weekly. We're presented by Rawlings. We welcome you back to Perfect Game Weekly on campus here in Tucson, Arizona. Hi Corbett, historic Hi Corbett Field. And we bring you inside. This is the hardware. This is the good stuff. This is All-American Daniel Susak, a Perfect Game All-American through his journey, and we spend time with him now. Thanks for hanging out with us. We really appreciate letting us come to your house.
Yep, thanks for having me.
So for you, your journey athletically, you found your way here, and there were some twists and turns along the way. But since coming here, you've had one head coach and then another. For you, you've continued to develop. Kind of describe from your eyes how you've seen your evolution as an Arizona Wildcat.
Yeah, I really love Arizona. I think the atmosphere it brings, the teammates around you want to make you better every day as well. And obviously, we've had a lot of coaches through here, and I'm grateful for all of them. They've all taught me their own things in their own respective way. And I'm really happy with the new staff. I think Arizona's in a great place for the future. What I really like is the whole staff, works together as a team. They're always with you, very hands-on. And I think it's a bright future ahead.
Talk a little bit about Chip Hale. I was with him when I was an announcer in the big leagues and enjoyed his journey. What kind of impact has he had, not only on the team, you spoke of that, but on you?
He's been big for me. He's very energetic out there every day.
Sure.
Like, he's always out there working with you. He's very, running across the dugout, talking to everybody, getting with the pitchers, getting up the dugout, which I really like. I like a high energy dugout. That's a big thing that we've emphasized this year, is winning the dugout, because a lot of times, that'll help win games. You'll see other teams that are really chirpy, but a lot of times they'll back it up and it gets in your own head. So when you do it to other teams, apply that pressure. And I think that's why maybe this weekend we've had some, good late inning comebacks, is because, our dugout's engaged, we're getting in the game and never giving up.
Can we see through your eyes what it's like to make a run at one of these as you look back and describe what you went through? The trophy's right there on the table, just didn't make that wall. What was that like last year?
It was tough. We worked really hard all year. We had a great team last year. Coming up a little short, that Vanderbilt game, I think, kind of crushed us in the end, fighting so hard, taking the lead, losing it, taking the lead, losing it, getting some runners on in scoring position, extra innings, not getting them in. It was just tough. And I think that's helped this team this year is, not dwelling on it, but, remembering that in the back of your head. And I think it's motivating us every single day.
It's incredible to look back on what you guys were able to accomplish, and you didn't rest. You went, and I always admire this, by the way, for catchers. You went and played with the Collegiate National Team, the USA Baseball Collegiate National Team. Just in a couple of sentences, describe that experience.
That was a lot of fun. Obviously, you see all the year, you see the best players in the country, and to finally be in the same place at the same time with a lot of great players, it's really fun. The competition, it challenges you every day, but I've always liked that. And going out there every day, maybe you'll see a Friday guy every weekend, it's 94, 95, but from the first guy to the last guy, every guy could maybe go up and get 100 with a really good slider. And it's just fun at bats. And then facing the Olympic team, those were fun at bats too. Guys you grew up watching like Todd Frazier, and I'm catching and talking to him about my brother who played with him. It's just weird to be playing against the same guys my brother played against.
So you mentioned your brother Andrew has had a nice run in the big leagues. Teams like the Pittsburgh Pirates, San Francisco Giants along the way. Guys like Andrew Knapp, Max Stassi, that's kind of the Roseville, California area, the Roseville catcher's hood, if you will.
Yeah.
Share with me, beyond your brother, and certainly share about your brother, guys like that who have touched your career.
Yeah, there's been a lot of great catchers out of that area. We work with a lot of Jesuit in the offseason. Dom Nunez will come in there from the Rockies. Obviously Max from the Angels, my brother. And I think just Sacramento as a whole, I think, is starting to get the credit that they produce a lot of great athletes out of there, and a lot of great catchers as well. There's some young ones that are good too, like Malcolm Moore, also coming out of there. I think it's impressive that they keep producing more and more.
Yeah, we're a fan of Malcolm Moore. So
we
really like him. I want to go back to your class, your graduating class, and especially at that Perfect Game National event in 2019. Tyler Soderstrom, first-round pick, A's. Drew Romo, Colorado Rockies comp pick. Jackson Miller, Red second-round pick. Kevin Parada's being talked about like you now, Georgia Tech. Just a fun group of catchers at that event. What do you recall amongst your brethren at PG National?
I remember because I was always really close with Tyler. We played our whole life, but at first it was just like me and Tyler, like awkwardly, like we didn't really know anybody yet. But by the end of it, everybody was just best friends. When you're there, it's not competition between each other. Obviously, you want to be the best one, but you want to make friends as well. And I think that was a big thing there, getting to meet a lot of new people from all across the country and seeing a lot of great catchers from everywhere.
Yeah, it was fun. We were enjoying watching you. We were enjoying watching you guys work. Your parents, Shauna and Nick, are of Croatian descent.
My father.
Your dad is of Croatian descent. Okay, so explain to me then where his passion for baseball came from. You'd naturally think soccer. Tell me about his passion for the game.
So he played soccer growing up as well, and I think his parents more encouraged soccer. So I think for him it was always, baseball is what he wanted, but maybe, soccer is what everybody else wanted him to do, because obviously his family coming from Croatia. And I think that was one thing he passed on to me and my brothers was his love for baseball. And it was something, he had a coach when he was younger. I think his name was Coach Doyle that introduced him to the game. And, you know, it always just takes somebody to introduce you to the game before you fall in love with it. And he was the one that introduced me and my brothers to it.
Yeah, and for your mom, Shauna, what role does she play in all of this baseball stuff?
Yeah, she's the calm one. She's where, you know, I get part of my patience from.
Reminder, your dad's the intense one.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, he is. They're a perfect balance. So if I have a bad game, you know, my dad will let me know what happened wrong. My mom will tell me that there's always tomorrow. I think that's how they balance each other.
Outstanding. We're going to talk with Brock Jones in this show as
yeah.
well. And I'm going to ask him the same question I'm going to ask you. What does the daydream look like when you hear your name called in the MLB draft? This year it's in July. Mm-hmm. What does that daydream look like? I'm not saying you focus on it all the time, but when you allow yourself to drift away, what does that day look like?
I think it's just, you know, a sense of pride, you know, getting there with my family. I know it's cliche, but all the hours you put in your whole life, maybe, you know, sacrificing ones that some other people don't. Finally seeing it, you know, pay off. You look at your family and see all the sacrifices they made for you to get there. You know, I always had the newest stuff when maybe my dad was wearing the same New Balance shoes for 8 years. And I think that's when it starts to, you know, resonate with you, all the sacrifices they made, and then they finally get to see you be happy, and it makes them even happier.
Incredible stuff. Thank you for your time. We really appreciate it.
Yep, thank you.
Arizona catcher Daniel Susak on Perfect Game Weekly, and really excited to get to know him through this conversation and really reunite with him. When we come back from Houston, Texas, Brett Dolan joins us. He tells us about a unique team, one of the most unique 11U teams in the country, from Tucson, Arizona. This is Perfect Game Weekly. We're presented by Ronald. Daron Sutton back with you on Perfect Game Weekly, presented by Rawlings here at the home of the Arizona Wildcats, Hi Corbett Field in Tucson, Arizona. We stopped in Houston, Texas recently for Perfect Game Super Regional NIT, and it was super. It was incredible. You talk about nearly 1,000 teams, athletes ages 6 to 14. Focusing in on the 14U age group, it was crazy. 30 of the top 50 26s in the United States, and 7 commits already for Power 5 conferences. That's the 14U age group. But Brett Dolan, the longtime voice in the MLB and a big part of our Perfect Game media team, he ran into a super team at the 11U age group. Here is their story. Brett from Houston, Texas.
Everything is a little bit bigger in Texas, including premier youth baseball tournaments like the PG Houston Super Regional NIT. It comprised nearly 1,000 teams over 25 divisions from ages 6 to 14, teams all the way from California to Florida. We focused on the 11U bracket. It's a fun age. You really see that skill development, and you know these kids are going to get bigger and better.
There's a lot of good teams out here, and the competition was nice.
The best of the best are here, and you can look around and tell that everybody on these fields, they're ready to play and they're good teams.
We're about to play number 1 team in the nation, Prime Baseball. It's a very exciting game. Lose, you go home. It's very cold, very windy, but it doesn't matter. It's just out to play baseball.
I'm a left-handed batter. I'm a pitcher and shortstop. I'm a power hitter, but also if I need to move a runner over, I can do that too. I mean, it feels great that I'm playing, like, I'm not in Sarasota just playing like local tournaments, that I'm going around and I'm playing different teams and seeing what like every team is about. When I get in MLB, it's like you're gonna be playing in super cold or it's gonna be super hot, so you have to be able to play in any weather. I feel like this whole tournament, it was a team effort, and everybody like on the team has a job to do. And I feel like we all came through and did our job, and like everything just came together and we won it.
Champions Prime Baseball out of Sarasota, Florida. It's going to be so much fun to follow these young men on their journey forward. We'll do that right here on Perfect Game Weekly.
I think the best part, the aspirations, the dreams, again, they all want to play on this field. Incredible stuff from Brett Dolan. An interesting look at one player on the 11U Lujan team, Ronald James III. Check out the week he had in Houston. 8 of 17, a couple of doubles, 10 runs scored, 11 RBIs, and an OPS nearly 1,500. He was the all-tournament team member, both a hitter and a pitcher. Speaking of pitching, he's thrown 70 innings in his young PG career, has a .40 ERA. Great things ahead for the young man who goes by the name of Ronald Trey James. When we come back on Perfect Game Weekly, we're going back to the college level. A conversation as we go inside with a man who, well, chose football, then chose baseball. He explains. An All-American, it's Brock Jones, another one who expects to have his name called very early in July's MLB Amateur Draft. From Tucson, Arizona, this is Perfect Game Weekly, and we're presented by Ronald. We welcome you back to Tucson, Arizona, as we continue on Perfect Game Weekly, presented by Rawlings. And as promised, a great conversation with Brock Jones. He's on the Golden Spikes watch list. He was an All-American a season ago. And I think what excites me the most is that he's got a football background. I'm always intrigued, and I think all of you are too. Brock, thanks for hanging out with us, my friend.
Thank you for having me.
I really, really appreciate it. The football piece of your life, up until a couple of years ago, was a huge piece of your life. It's one thing, and we interview a lot of athletes on this show that are getting ready to go to college or to sign a professional contract that have football as part of their journey, but they said goodbye to it. You played college football, my friend, college football and baseball. How much of you is still that football player?
You know, I think a big part of me still is, and I think it's definitely a part of me that I hope really never leaves, just because it's kind of a different mindset. In a lot of different ways, just because the speed of the game is so different. You know, it's a physical, very physical, hard contact sport, and I think that mentality from football kind of translates over to baseball, and I hope to carry that into life. And you know, football will always be probably my first love for the most part, and you know, I'll hold on to it forever. But it's one of those things where, you know, I kind of just had to make a decision and kind of run with it, and I'm very glad with the decision that I made.
It is one thing to play in front of 70,000 at the Coliseum, play at the Rose Bowl if you had that chance. It's another thing to play in Omaha and perform. I know you guys wanted to play deeper. There's no doubt about that. But you individually performed. As you recollect those instances, should you never have them again, how much did they mean to you? Oh,
I mean, it meant the world to me. You know, it was kind of weird because a lot of those guys and a lot of guys, especially in college baseball, grew up, you know, going to games there and doing that. And for me, it was kind of one of those things where I was always watching football and kind of doing that kind of thing. So I was like, yeah, Omaha seems pretty cool. You know, I think it'll be a fun experience. But then I got there, and just a dream to be there. And I think it was huge for us, you know, just to get our team back there, and just because it took a while for us to get back there. And I think we showed that we can perform with the best of the best, and I think that was kind of just something that we wanted to prove. And I think even leading up to this year, we haven't started great, but I think we're gonna get to a point where we're proving ourselves again and get back to Stanford baseball.
Your travel ball days, do you have fond memories of the NorCal Uni? And again, you were a football guy, but they pulled you away to some pretty fun things. Tell me about your travel ball memories.
Yeah, just seeing those guys and having those relationships is just huge, and it's one of those things that you'll never lose. It's actually funny because in the PG National game in Phoenix, it was a record day heat. We already played a game earlier that day, and it was like 115, whatever it was. It was just ridiculously hot out. And Cody Huff, our catcher, was actually on the team that we played that day, and I didn't even know him, no idea who he was. And then we end up being teammates down the road. So it's just kind of stuff like that where it just kind of comes full circle, and it just makes you appreciate the game a lot more.
What are some of the differences in the rigors that you have to deal with at Stanford?
Yeah, I think, it's one of those things where we spend so much time on stuff outside of the field. You know, we try to perfect our craft on the field, but making sure that we're taking care of what we need to outside the field, whether it be in the classroom, whether it be relationships, networking, whatever it is. We really take the time to kind of focus on those things, because at the end of the game, baseball is just a game, and at some point it's going to end, and we kind of really focus on that end of it to where we will have something to go to and fall back on outside of baseball if something doesn't go right or something like that. And I think we're very motivated. We work very hard to kind of keep our life in order outside the baseball field, just because we kind of want to be that well-rounded All-American kind of not just baseball player but man as well.
In July, they call your name. The draft is in Los Angeles. What does that daydream look like when you have it? Whether you're working out, whether you're up one morning, maybe you're putting your head on the pillow late at night. What does that daydream or night dream look like being drafted?
Yeah, it's definitely it's a weird thing for me, just because I actually grew up wanting to be an NFL player, and so it kind of shifted to kind of in middle school, I was, I just want to be a professional athlete. I don't care if it's baseball, I don't care if it's basketball, whatever I fall into, I kind of just want to be a professional athlete. So, right now I'm really trying to just focus on what we have here right now and kind of just being where my feet are and let the chips fall where they fall when draft day comes. So kind of not really trying to focus too much on that. But I mean, especially just knowing my parents, it's going to be just a surreal moment. I know for sure I'm going to be brought down to tears whenever my name is called, whether it be this year, next year, or down the road. But just continue to play hard, play to win, compete, and then I think the rest will just kind of take care of itself.
You've got some good ink. Explain what ink we have here. Just at least the arm. Give us I see some at the ankle, but give us the arm explanation of what we're seeing there.
Yeah, so I kind of got a lot. I'm kind of addicted at this point. But I got 4 roses for the 4 people in my family. Then just kind of got family forever. And then I got God gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers. Kind of just for me, that's a good baseball thing, kind of just going through failure, going through adversity. I got my hometown, Fresno, kind of where I was born. That's the skyline. That's not exactly what it looks like. I wish it looked that pretty, but it doesn't look like that. And then just a basic stairway to heaven. And I got 2 doves for my dad and I. Pretty much, so it's really kind of just religious oriented and then family oriented for the most part. That's kind of what a lot of my tattoos are. My leg is kind of a different deal. It's kind of more of an athlete deal that I'm trying to work on. It's kind of a pain right now. I want to get it done, but I definitely love it. It's kind of just a kind of an artwork thing for me, and I really like art and stuff like that. So I'm ready for some more, but kind of don't want to go through that pain right now.
Yeah.
So whenever it comes, I'll get it done, but I'm excited.
I love this conversation. Thanks for having it with us.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Baseball is going to pay his bills, and you could just sense it. I want to thank him for his time and the Stanford staff for putting it together. Also, Daniel Susak and the leaders here at Arizona for making us feel at home. An incredible show. Great stuff from Brett Dolan. What a long career he has had as a Major League voice. We're fortunate he's helping us tell the stories of some of the best young players in the country. If you found us on regional sports television, remember, you can always find us on your app. Go find Perfect Game TV on your smart device. Download the app. We're devoted 24/7 to amateur baseball and softball. Until we see you next week, let's find another great college campus, by the way. My name is Daron Sutton. This has been Perfect Game Weekly, presented by Rawlings. See you at the ballpark.